Welcome to Generosity Experience Live. On today's episode, how can surveys inform community building? Featuring Jean Marie Trick, Implementation Manager at Neon One. And featuring Justin McCord, Senior VP of Marketing and Communications at RKD Group. And now, here's your host, Tim Sarantonio.
Welcome to June's episode of Generosity Experience Live, a live stream show where we look at the ways that nonprofiteers like you can get savvier about the ways technology can better connect you with your community of generosity. I'm your host, Tim Sarantonio, Director of Corporate Brand at Neon One. And no matter when or where you're going to watch our show, you're going to love the engaging and valuable conversation to come. If you're watching live with us today, please jump in the comments and share your thoughts with us throughout the show. We want this to be highly interactive, and we have a different giveaway each month. This month, actually, is going to be a copy of Rhea Wong's Get That Money, Honey, as well as a donation to a nonprofit for you or of your choice. In a few minutes, we're going to be joined live by our special guest, Jean Marie Trick from Neon One, implementation team, and also Justin McCord of RKD Group. But first, it's time for the big number.
During today's episode, one lucky live viewer will win a $100 donation to a nonprofit of their choice, while another viewer will win a copy of Rhea Wong's book, Get That Money, Honey. Join the conversation with us live for a chance to win one of these prizes. Winners will be announced at the end of the live stream.
.25 seconds. That's the average attention span of an adult internet user. By the time I'm done saying this sentence, you may have already started thinking about a task that you should be working on, what's for dinner tonight, or a catchy song about finding a man in finance. Much has been made about the shortening of our attention span. Similar research found that in 2000, the average internet user's attention span was about 12 seconds. So now we're currently clocking in at less than a goldfish. What I want to do in this episode is help address that by recapping where we've been over the past few months and why today's episode is so critical for the future of learning that we're going to be doing together. Since January, we've been unpacking different parts of the nonprofit sector by interrogating and questioning core data relating to the work that you as a nonprofit leader are doing every single day. And in that episode, we drilled into the struggles of turnover that our sector is facing and the importance of education in overcoming those obstacles. In February's episode, we addressed the reality that only 2 out of 10 of your donors are likely not going to give a second year in a row. We built on that foundation in March's episode, where we picked apart why the typical nonprofit is having 3 to 5 different data sources to manage the generosity experience. And that's connected to those poor donor retention numbers. Following that up, in April's episode of Generosity Experience Live, we talked with Eric Ressler, and he spoke about the attention economy and how we can design forward-thinking programs like recurring giving, which Neon One's research found that can have a 78% retention rate and can keep people engaged for nearly a decade with a nonprofit. And in last month's episode, I highlighted the peak end rule, where people remember the high or low of an experience and how it ended. So let's put all this together and help us address how we tackle the obstacles we're all facing and rebuild the trust that the nonprofit sector deserves. We know that people have limited windows of time to pay attention to your cause. And those same folks will only likely remember a few key interactions with your organization. And the nonprofits in our sector are increasingly facing difficult decisions on where to invest limited time, resources, and money into technology. So what is the answer? Listening to your community. Before I continue, I'd love to hear from you first. What are some of the ways that you have built in listening for your supporters? Please jump in the comments. We're going to start to pay attention to this. This also helps line up with our giveaways. So if you can type into the chat and share a short example, that would be great. Don't forget that we do our giveaways based on that live participation. Let's see those comments. So,
well, Tim, we're waiting for those comments.
I know. I'm speaking of community, I'm actually in a community center in my local community.
That is so cool. Where exactly are you, Tim?
So the Connect Center is in Cohoes, New York. And Ben Williams, who actually worked with Jean Marie, who on our implementation team when he was onboarding in the Neon, we just did a whole presentation workshop on recurring giving. So timing wise, I was like, I'm going to do the show from here.
So we are keeping an eye on those comments. Just a reminder, at the end of the show, guys, I'm going to bring up the wheel.
Oh, come on. This is the wheel. We need to put some names on there.
So we are asking now, what are some ways that you have built in ways to listen to your supporters?
Mm-hmm.
And when you answer that question, we are going to put your comments up on the screen. Tim will be able to do that as the rest of the monologue goes on. And I will add your names to this wheel, which we will spin at the end of the show. So, Tim, I'll let you get back to the monologue, and we'll talk to you in a few minutes.
And we're going to be doing this throughout the entire episode. So we just kind of want to give people an opportunity to settle in. But, overall, when we start to look at this, in my opinion, everything that a nonprofit should be doing when designing the generosity experience for its community ultimately comes down to its relevancy. And so many nonprofits are designing generosity experiences that are not only irrelevant to the communities that they're looking to appeal to, but in fact may be hurting the nonprofit sector as a whole. And this is a very important point because the generosity experience is not the donor's journey. Think of it instead as the zone of trust and connection that you are trying to build with your technology, your strategy, the tactics when reaching out to folks that you hope support your work. As my coworker Alex has put it, it's an aurora boreas of trust and connection. And there's actually ample research to show that listening to folks is an effective way to build that trust and communication. Yet, when I've asked in different workshops whether nonprofits are creating feedback loops in their processes by deploying something like a tactical survey to their donors, event participants, and other members of their community of generosity, I tend to get a lukewarm response. Even today, I only had a handful of folks that said, well, we survey our donors. And I think that surveys are a fantastic tool in any nonprofit's toolkit. And that's why we're going to spend some time on that this month. By building in ways to collect information about folks, you begin to build relevancy in your communications. It isn't enough to just put somebody's name in a merge field. Nonprofits need to design generosity experiences that ultimately build trust, connection, and excitement for the cause. Designing surveys comes with risks, though. So being able to know when and where and how to best utilize them is an art and science in of itself. That's a skill that every nonprofit leader should know how to do and interpret the data to put it into action. And this skill is actually becoming vitally important if more and more folks have interactions with the nonprofit sector that are prioritizing money over human connection, affluence over affinity, and quick returns on investment versus relevancy and retention. We're likely not going to have a sector to support in 50 years. And I don't want to sound alarmist here, but I've been listening to all of you. And what I'm hearing is that we need to change things up. That's why surveys are an easy and an exciting investment for any nonprofit. It gives you a powerful and immediately actionable data set to build that relevancy if you do it right. No matter the size of your nonprofit, you can collect feedback that we use to inform your processes. There's a delicate balance between people's opinions and their actions, which is why I'm thrilled about both guests in today's episode. Both Jean Marie Trick and Justin McCord have expertise in reading the tea leaves, so to speak, of data in creating feedback loops and applying this to successful revenue program design. So I can't wait to get into it. But first, let's hear again about this month's giveaway, and let's see some comments for today.
During today's episode, one lucky live viewer will win a $100 donation to a nonprofit of their choice, while another viewer will win a copy of Rhea Wong's book, Get That Money, Honey. Join the conversation with us live for a chance to win one of these prizes. Winners will be announced at the end of the live stream. Join Tim live this Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern for Mastering the Art of Inquiry, Enhancing Donor Engagement Through the Socratic Method. In this interactive workshop, you will learn how to ask powerful questions of your supporters and technology to gain deeper insights and foster a culture of generosity. Utilizing the Socratic Method, a time-tested approach to questioning and dialogue, we will guide you through creating impactful donor surveys. One lucky registrant will win a copy of Ray Wong's book, Get That Money, Honey. Register now at neon1.com/webinars or click the link in the comments.
Hello. Hi, Jean Marie.
Hi, Tim. How are you?
I am good. I am good to you today. And it's funny because if I wasn't doing this today, I thought, do I drive down and actually do it in the Hudson Valley near you? So maybe we could do that next time.
Next time.
Well, for folks who don't know about who you are and the work that you're doing at Neon One, can you tell us a little bit about your journey and the work that you do?
Yeah, sure. So right now I'm the implementation manager here at Neon One. I think like most of us here at Neon, my career started in a nonprofit. So I actually started working at my first nonprofit in high school. It was a large animal shelter here in New York. I think really at that point in my life, I was hooked more on the puppies than I probably was on the nonprofit thing. But I worked there on and off throughout college. And in college, I was actually earning my degree in computer science. So you can kind of see where this leads you. Immediately after graduating, I took a job in tech. And I quickly found out that I really missed working towards a mission. So I went back to the nonprofit world in a tech role at a national office of a large organization with chapters across the country. At the time, if you can believe it, they were actually in the process of creating their own database system internally. So it was a great learning experience for me. And eventually I moved on from there to another national organization in a fundraising role at the chapter level. So I spent nearly 10 years there, helped the chapter adopt technology for events, migrate to a new CRM system. Another role change from there, which eventually led me to be the development director at Sparrow's Nest of the Hudson Valley. And that was probably my very favorite role and the place where I feel like I had the most impact because I didn't have a lot of higher ups who I needed approvals from. I could take the things that I knew about fundraising and about technology and sort of run with it and really make an impact for the organization. They actually adopted Neon CRM during my tenure. So you can see that kind of came full circle, and that's what led me here to Neon One as the implementation manager.
I mean, it's so fascinating to hear that story too, because you just have so many different perspectives. And I love even pointing out the great work that Sparrow's Nest has been doing, because I think like it comes through. But I know that doesn't happen in a vacuum, and you have to kind of make so many little decisions along the way that head toward that bigger vision of change. So when you've been working with nonprofits, or as you work for nonprofits, how were people best effectively building in those feedback loops into their process to get actionable and useful data?
Yeah. So I think the term feedback loops it feels very corporate to me, kind of sterile.
Okay, let's kill it. Let's kill it.
Yeah, and so the way I think about feedback loops are really sort of the foundation for any relationship that you have, right? So they're the sort of give and take, the process of getting to know you, the conversation starter for any new relationship that you have. So the more you know about somebody, the easier it is to connect with them. And when you think about feedback loops, the people that you have the most intimate feedback loops with are usually your family, maybe your spouse or partner, your siblings, your kids, anybody in your intimate circle. You get the idea. But these are the people that will jump in to help you because you have intimate feedback loops with them. And they want to support you because you have a solid relationship with them. So for nonprofits to think about it in that way, that's feedback loops are really the core of the generosity experience that we talk about. The most successful feedback loops are the ones that are asking those getting to know you questions of constituents. Then not only asking the question, but actually listening to the answer and then acting on the answers to continue building the relationship. So practically in the CRM, that means using the data that you have stored in your CRM to build those meaningful relationships that a database system promises you from day one, from the time you sign a contract with the CRM. These are the meaningful relationships that a CRM can provide you with, if used properly, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's important. And some of the best feedback loops really start with a good report, right? So for most clients, you want to build a report that lists those donors, maybe that have given to you twice in the last year. These are the people, we know they're interested in your organization. We know we want to continue building a relationship with them. How do we keep them engaged? And then you want to just engage them with a simple question. When we talk about surveys, you think of those long surveys that you get from every corporation that you interact with that take you 15 minutes of your time. And like you pointed out earlier, our attention span is very short. So let's ask the most impactful question we can think of. And for people that have already interacted with you, somebody who's given to your organization twice, why did they give, right? So maybe providing something really specific around which one of our programs is most important to you, and then giving them a list of your programs and allowing them to choose what is important to them, and then building off of that. So once you have those responses, you can build this meaningful conversation with them, and you can automate it through a CRM. You can create workflows. You can create automated emails that give people updates on the work that's important to them. So, a summer lunch program maybe is the important piece for me. I want to know about your summer lunch program, not just when I donate to you and you say, thank you for giving to our summer lunch program, but I want to know my impact. So, create that communication with them. And it doesn't have to be a phone call. It can all be automated through the CRM, through workflows, through automated emails, so that people can see the impact of their giving.
And I love the comment that John from Mikvah Challenge said. Let's put that up again. Thanks, Chris. Surveys new individual donors. So that's segment, right? That's audience. And then seeking information as to why they support us, what aspect of the work that resonates the most, and why they were prompted to support us. I like that. And Jean Marie, you just mentioned all the ways that you can actually implement that into a CRM or something like that. But one of the reasons that I was excited to chat with you is that you've actually been able to build community support when you were at Sparrow's Nest, to even change the very nature of the funding structure, to move from a very events-heavy organization into something that's more focused on sustainable recurring gifts. How did you do that to build that case of support for people who are like, I love the golf tournament? Like, you can't just go, I think this is a good idea. How did you build that support using data?
Yeah. So for those of you that aren't familiar with Sparrow's Nest is a grassroots organization. So there were 4 employees wearing a multitude of different hats, much like every nonprofit across the country. And when I took on the role, we were having an event almost every month. And we were asking the same people to give over and over. We were asking the same sponsors to give over and over, the same people to give to our auction over and over. So talk about donor fatigue. When you have events happening so quickly and repeating over and over again each year, it just devalues it and exhaust your donors. So we really took the time to think about the people that were most engaged with us, people that were donating to us, but also people that were volunteering with us. And eventually what we found once we implemented a recurring giving program was, interestingly, about 70% of our initial recurring donors were also volunteers. So they were people we had a relationship with. We had that feedback loop that knew our organization, knew what we were doing, and wanted to support us. So then we were able to expand beyond that and say, okay, we have all of these events that people participate in. Everybody's coming to them for different reasons. What are those reasons, and how can we tap into that? And then we were able to really identify those people that weren't just coming to events because there was an event happening, but they were really interested in our organization. And we targeted them and really told them our story and said, this is a grassroots organization. We're growing. We want to expand our mission, but it's impossible to do that with 4 people trying to serve hundreds of people. So help us by giving monthly. Consider what that monthly donation will do for us and how it can continue to help us grow. And we really had a very targeted audience that we shared that message with. And then we continue to share that message with folks beyond that, to try to encourage people to come in and do that. Eventually, at the end of it, we were able to take apart so many of the events. There was an 80s night dance party. We got rid of that. We had a golf tournament as well, which we put on the back burner. We had a Rock the Nest, an outdoor music concert. Also, we're able to take that out of the picture. We just had so many events. You're spending all of your resources doing that when you have this simple way to bring in donors and really engage them. And we did take advantage of workflows to be able to communicate with those people who did connect with us with a recurring donation, so that we could say every 3 months, hey, thank you for that gift every month, but here's what it is actually doing for us. So thank you for being a part of it.
Well, and it just, even when I was ending, and we got Justin coming up next, but I want to ask you one last question, because this is important for folks. I was even in the workshop, somebody came to me and said, Tim, we have some people who, when we do our annual statement, they cancel. And I want to know why. And kind of even the words that this woman used during the thing, it was relating to, well, we didn't basically update anybody since that last time that they gave, and they had forgotten that they gave. Workflows, these technical elements, they're so critical to get right out of the gate. The implementation team at Neon One is rock stars when it comes to setting people up for success. So what's the future of what that looks like, just to kind of give an outline for people who may not know that?
Yeah, sure. So the implementation team, first of all, I'm going to give a shout out to our implementation team, because I believe they are the best in the business. They're amazing humans, and they're always looking to find the best solutions for our clients. Implementation is a partnership between us at Neon and our client. We need to know what your priorities are. We need to know what it is that you want to gain from the CRM. And when we have that understanding, we can build a custom implementation for you that really talks about some of these things that are not only CRM functions, but how the nonprofit community can form best practices around that technology. So, the CRM is a data entry tool, right? And you can use it just as a giant paperweight where you're just entering data into the system and never doing with it again. But working with your implementation team to understand what your needs are and where you're headed, where your strategic planning is headed, and what you want for your organization, your consultant will sprinkle in those best practices for you, show you what a workflow can do, show you why it's applicable to anybody new coming in as a recurring donor or even event participants. How can it be beneficial to start those meaningful feedback loops? And how can you use the technology to get you to the place that you expect to be when you purchase a CRM?
I mean, Jean Marie, it was so delightful to talk with you. I think our next objective is what's the new terminology than feedback loops that we can all come up with. Folks, pop in the comments as we're gearing up. What's your alternative terminology that we can even come up with? Because you are right, Jean Marie. I think we can come up with something more nonprofit. So thank you very much for joining us. I know you got a lot of work to go back and get some people ready for success, but thanks again for joining today.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. All right.
Join Tim live this Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern for Mastering the Art of Inquiry, Enhancing Donor Engagement Through the Socratic Method. In this interactive workshop, you will learn how to ask powerful questions of your supporters and technology to gain deeper insights and foster a culture of generosity. Utilizing the Socratic Method, a time-tested approach to questioning and dialogue, we will guide you through creating impactful donor surveys. One lucky registrant will win a copy of Ray Wong's book, Get That Money, Honey. Register now at neon1.com/webinars or click the link in the comments.
Hi, Justin.
What's up, buddy?
How are you?
I'm awesome. I'm so awesome. Jean Marie
Yeah.
was fantastic. I don't have an answer yet for the new nomenclature for feedback loops, but maybe we'll get there.
So like structured in my head to say it that way. That like
I know. It
it's
is.
like, oh man, I gotta think differently. Justin, you and I are big buddies. You're wearing one of my favorite shirts in the world, by the way. But for folks who don't know who Justin McCord is, don't know who RKD Group is, let's educate them a bit. Can you introduce yourself and tell us a bit about RKD?
I would love to, and thanks for having me as a part of this. Having watched it, it's fun to be part of it behind the scenes now. So RKD is a leading marketing agency for nonprofits. So we work exclusively with nonprofits. We work with hundreds of nonprofits across both the US and Canada, typically organizations that have an active donor count in the 10,000 plus. So, some medium and larger nonprofits at the local level, at the regional level, all the way up to national, international. So I joined the team 13 years ago, and I've worked in strategy roles. And then since 2017, I've been responsible for RKD's brand. And that includes our thought leadership and how we show up in the sector. So a big part of that role is creating space or experiences for our clients. Like today, I'm joining from kind of backstage at the Country Music Hall of Fame, where we have a group of clients that have come together to wrestle.
I made him move because originally the wall was very bare, and I was like, "Can we see something that lets people know you're at the Country Music Hall?"
Yeah, so we've got some beautiful artwork, down the way, and then the Nashville skyline and all that kind of stuff. So some of it's creating spaces and experiences for our clients, and that's something I'm very passionate about. Some of it's also creating impact drivers. And so I think of impact drivers as the research that RKD produces, our survey efforts. And so that includes our research last year on trust. It includes our research and insights on listening, on Gen X, and so much more. So it's creating those spaces and experiences. Those are what I'm all about.
Well, actually, given the listening thing, and thanks, Chris, for popping up the RKD website, full of some great research and stuff like that. Well, because we're focusing on surveys today and generally just listening, can you tell us a bit about some of those insights that you found?
Yeah, listening is hard. Can I just leave it at that? Listening is really, really hard. And especially when you think about any level of mass communication, one-to-many communication, we're so much more comfortable at talking at our donors than talking with them. And that's a big barrier to being a good listener. And to the point that you made at the start of the show today, and that Jean Marie echoed, and we have to build relevancy in our communication, and communication comes from connection, and communication and connection start from listening and understanding who it is that we're talking to.
Yeah, I mean, I think I always think of that line from Marla Singer in Fight Club, where it's like people are just waiting for their turn to speak. And I think that especially in a world that is getting increasingly noisy and just really hard to feel like you can break through that noise, Justin, especially because you see this at scale, but I know you're so attuned to what's even happening on the ground with smaller nonprofits too. That's important. What are you seeing that is effective when people are integrating this into their operations for that active listening?
So first party data tells us just about everything. Like it tells us so much that we can start forming those muscles for listening. And at that point, it's less.
Too. Like, let's go
Sure,
one-on-one.
absolutely.
Let's even go, what's
Yes.
first party data too?
So first party data, that's demographic information that you get when someone makes a donation. So everything that someone fills out on your donation form online or on your reply devices from your direct mail piece. So that can tell you obviously their name, their address, the city, state, and zip. Those are a good number of indicators. Then let's add on to that of what other first party data are you collecting off of a transaction? Obviously, you're getting the gift amount, you're getting the day that they gave, you're getting the time of day that they gave. Like that starts to build a little bit more of a profile. Then if you can take one step forward at that act of observation, which is a form of listening, it's what else can we capture about these engagements that we have with donors? Can we capture and understand their interests? There are some great technical tactics that allow you to scrape information. We call it metadata. You add information from people coming to your website and making online donations. Maybe that's whether or not the IP address is a home versus an office. The device, is it Apple versus Android? Like those sorts of pieces are all elements that help you form more of a picture of who someone is. And frankly, the more first party data that you can use, and that's key, you gotta, if you're going to collect it, you need to be able to use it.
Don't just collect it to collect it.
Don't just collect it to hoard it. There's nothing effective about hoarding data, right? But if we're collecting that data, then let's use it, and let's use it so that we can be two things which I think are so crucial: more highly personalized and more highly localized in the way that we're connecting with the people that we're talking to.
So, and folks, keep going, because right now John's in the lead for our comments thing. So we got somebody who's giving something away, but I'd love to hear. Yes, there we go. I want him, John. It's going to be different Johns, right? But Justin, that's such an interesting point. And I think one of the things that I always wonder about here is what is working that can be inspirational, that isn't also, like, what campaigns have you seen that can maybe inspire people without outright going like, okay, we just need to do our version of the ice bucket challenge. Like that's the easy thing, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of the concern I have about asking about what's some good stuff you've seen, because let's put the caveat on, you still have to do your own thing, folks. So Justin, who's done that really well?
Yeah. You do have to do your own thing. And, I was thinking about this, Tim, in preparation for this. And yes, too many times we want to cite the ice bucket challenges and the charity waters and the whatever. Like, that's cool. They did their thing and they did it well. I heard the story today from Atlanta Humane Society, how they've grown their monthly donor program to more than 4,000 monthly donors over the matter of just a handful of years. They were using canvassing and door-to-door in Atlanta. And that fascinated me, but even so, that's not replicable for everyone. So I wanted to give you and give the viewing audience, what's something that's replicable that you can take to move towards personalization and localization. And so I came up with two different ideas, two different insights, two different possible strategies. Across our company, we work with more than half of the divisions of the Salvation Army. And I know that with 10 of those divisions along the eastern part of the US, we have built a matrix Excel, like it started in Excel. I say matrix, but it's an Excel worksheet that captures language down to the zip code level so that you can use the lexicon of that community. So how you talk about your community is different than how I talk about my community. Like there's one road that divides me and the next neighborhood over. We might use a different language, like little bitty words, right? So if you can plan and capture for your audience something as specific to them as what's the change of the way that they referred to the neighborhood, right? Then you can feed that back into your marketing techniques as variable text based off of what you know about those people. That's one. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's the second. And maybe that's too complicated for some people because of resource constrictions. And I get that.
You can right size that. You can at least go like, does this sound like the community that we're serving? Does this sound like the community? Like I even was listening to Rockstar. They just did an interview about when they were doing their Grand Theft Auto games, and they would like actually go interview people when they were doing the San Andreas game. They would go to the communities that they were like trying to represent, and they had folks who were like, "We don't talk like that. What are you doing here?" And they hired them. They ended up hiring those folks, and that's what you do too. So I think it is feasible. But what's the other one? Because you're going to be on that first one. So
well, I think that's interesting because, like, to me, personalization is how do I make it more about Tim? Localization is how do I make it more about Tim's context? And I think that you've got to hold those two things in balance. So the second idea, and this is something that I've seen us do a handful of different ways. And we mentioned earlier, I heard you talk about those annual donor surveys and an effort to like channel communication and how are they connected with the organization. And sometimes donor surveys get really big and sometimes they get really bloated. And so I like to think about one single question. And if I could only ask someone one single question, how would I ask it and what would I ask? The how I would ask it is on the thank you page of my online donation form or in the autoresponder after someone completes an online gift. Like you've got someone in the honeymoon halo of having given, it's a great time to ask them a question. So that's the how. The what is one very simple question. It's open-ended and it is what prompted you to give today?
Yes.
That's it. You ask an open-ended question. It's timely, it's relevant. You can collect a large amount of data, and then you can use all sorts of AI tools to analyze the anonymized data and learn reasons why those people were interested in you. And that can build a profile around donor sentiment. Like it's the intentionality of the effort, not the complexity of the effort that matters.
I mean, there's so much to unpack there, but we are going to keep on time, Justin, because I know you have to go like start getting ready for playing music or whatever you're doing over there. Let's end with a fun little word association game. And folks, Justin's been very good. We try to storyboard things beforehand so they have an idea of what's being asked. But this one in particular, he doesn't know any of the words that I'm going to do here. So we're going to do word association. I'm going to throw out a word or a phrase, and you're going to give me snapshot the first thing that you're thinking.
Let's do it.
Ready to go?
And I don't know what's coming, which is slightly terrifying because I know you so well, buddy.
Yeah. So there we go. Okay. We'll start easy. Fundraising.
Fundraising, right? Fundraising. First thing that comes to mind whenever I hear that is philanthropy. Like it's the goodness. It is a noble work that we do.
Artificial intelligence.
Nah. That's the first thing that comes to mind. We're so obsessed with it right now. We're so obsessed with it. And honestly, like it's all around us. It has been, it will continue to be. It's not something to be afraid of.
We're doing Jessica's. Community.
Community? Oh man, that's people. That's the heartbeat of what makes all of us drive.
Let's see. And folks, this is actually a really good time to get in the comments because I'm just going to use your stuff. So I love that answer to AI, says Don. Okay, good. It is a good answer. I think it's a great answer. That's why I asked it. I knew Justin would give that. Okay, let me look around. connection.
That is the meat of what we do. That is, connection is the work. Connection is the work of what we do in working in this sector. And it is so important that we prioritize that, not prioritize relationships, because we're not talking about being everybody's best friend. Like that, you don't have to be everyone's best friend in order to connect with someone and invest, whether or not that's you investing time and resources and energy as a volunteer or as a donor, or as someone working at a nonprofit, investing that connection back to someone who has invested in you. That's where it's at.
Okay, I'll do two more. Let's see. Oh, no. Okay, I was going to do this. Technology.
Means to an end. It's not the answer. It's not the answer. It is a vehicle to get to a place, but it is not the answer.
Ooh, okay. I'll do John's accomplishment.
Oh man, for me, the first thing that comes to mind is I'm surviving this working on a high wire without a net in this exact moment, John. That is for me an accomplishment.
Just even being like to join us from where you are, to give us the time for that. So I'll give you one final one. Thanks for everybody who's popped in. RKD.
Humane, just, and compassionate. That's a part of who we are and what we want to be and what we want to elevate is working with organizations that are making this world more humane, just, and compassionate. And it is an absolute honor to get to be a part of a movement like that.
I think you folks are doing amazing work on that front. That's also why I'm thrilled that you were able to join us.
Thank you.
How about we end with a little bit of what are you hoping music wise? We'll do our giveaway because we actually drummed up a bunch of folks, so we have that. Thanks, John, Jessica, etc. Dawn. While Chris is getting the wheel up, what are you hoping that you hear while you're in Nashville?
I mean, I'm in Music City. One of my favorite bands is playing later in the week. It's called Silverado. I'm going to be back in Dallas before they hit. So I'm kind of bummed of missing them. But listen, you turn and look in any given direction and you're going to hear great live music in this city. And so, yeah, I'm here for any of it.
Love it. All right, Chris, we got some giveaways. Do we want to do? See, I feel like with three people, you're muted, Chris.
I'm now unmuted. Tim, here's what we're going to do. We're going to spin the wheel once and give away that $100 donation. And then the other two folks on the wheel are going to win a copy of Ria Wong's book. How about that?
That's it. That's what we'll do. I'll talk to Ria. We'll figure it out. I love it. Everybody's a winner today.
Everybody's a winner. Especially for listening to that conversation with Jean Marie and Justin. It was really great to meet you. So let's go ahead and hit spin.
Okay. Who's our donation winner? Other winners will receive a copy of the book. John. It's gonna do the confetti. It's gonna do the thing. John, we're gonna reach out, get you set, and then for Justin or John and Jessica, we'll be in touch as well. Love it. Cool. I mean, what a fantastic show. I know we're going to kind of, let things kind of go out, Chris, as you take us away. But I mean, what a fantastic 6 months this has been. And Justin, I have to say that you've been a real influence on even the creation of this show and things of that nature. I know that you don't probably think that, but you rock, man. So thanks for joining.
Oh, absolutely. My pleasure to be a part of it. And I love the work that you and the team are doing. And shout out to Abby. I saw her in the comments as well. I know that she doesn't get to be on the wheel, but
no,
I love the work that everyone at Neon is doing. And so keep it up because it matters.
Awesome. Thanks, Justin. Thanks for joining us. Get back to rocking out. And folks, we got a big show next month, actually. So I'm pretty jazzed about this. Chris, I don't know how much details we're going to give, but
Join us live on Monday, July 22nd as we kick off our Dream Big week-long event with a very special episode of Generosity Experience Live. RSVP now on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube to be reminded as showtime approaches.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I'm really excited about it. But we are also done with the show today. I'm going to go and actually break things down from the workshop. The wonderful team at the Connect Center even watch my kids for the whole time. They were upstairs. So I'm so thankful that you joined us today. What a fantastic kind of end cap to the first 6 months of Generosity Experience Live. So Chris, why don't you take us away?
We'll see you next month for episode 7. Thank you, Tim.
Love it. Thank you.
Thanks for watching Neon One on YouTube. Subscribe to keep up with all our upcoming videos, and check out another video right here.